We're going to turn now to those guardrails on highways across the country. They're supposed to help you survive a crash, but some say a little-known change to them severely injured, even killed their loved ones. It's an issue we've been reporting on for months here, but tonight, brand new developments. And here's Brian Ross, whose investigation helped put this on the national radar.
Just after midnight on Interstate 40 in North Carolina, where a guardrail meant to protect almost killed.
We need to get somebody out of here quick. They'll stop the bleeding.
All right, sir, I'm trying to locate you.
The motorist hit the guardrail head-on after nodding off and was trapped in his car, bleeding out.
We're going to die.
Sir, we're trying to get some help.
The long steel rail, seen in this photo from behind the driver and passenger seats, sliced through the SUV like a thick, sharp spear and then cut off his legs.
I've lost my legs and a leg.
Are you saying you've lost both your legs, sir?
Yeah.
36-year-old Jay Traylor did survive, able to save his life with a makeshift tourniquet, but not his legs.
In the wreck, this one was gone. Then I had to make the choice to lose that one, too.
It wasn't supposed to happen. This test film from 15 years ago shows how a guardrail is supposed to absorb the impact, even in a head-on crash at 62 miles per hour. The truck hits what's called the end terminal, which, like a sled on a rail, moves along the guardrail, absorbing the impact and deflecting and spewing the rail off to the side. That's not what happened with Jay Traylor.
Had the guardrails done their job, I probably would have walked away just going, damn, I'm an idiot.
Traylor and a growing number of accident victims across the country are suing the company that makes the guardrails, Trinity Industries of Texas. Among the allegations, as laid out by one of the lawyers in the case, Stephen Lawrence, that the company tried to save a few dollars by quietly making some slight changes.
That's not all they changed.
In the design of what's called the Trinity ET+.
This is the original 5-inch ET+, and this is the modified 4-inch ET+.
And that 1 inch you're saying makes a significant difference.
It makes all the difference in the world.
This animation shows what lawyers suing Trinity say happens with the original, gliding along the rail and diverting it to the side, and what they say can happen with the modified version. The thinner terminal jams up, breaks off, and the rail drives through the vehicle.
The impact is the guardrail does not have the room to expand like it needs to save your life.
31-year-old Rebecca Dreyer, a single mom from Pennsylvania, says she too was a victim of the change in the guardrail design, which pierced her car and cut off her right leg.
I didn't understand exactly what had happened because I didn't realize that it essentially was a spear that came through my car.
Rebecca, among those now suing Trinity, became angry and upset as she looked at the photos from her accident, the first time she had seen them.
I very well could have not walked away from that. Wow. That's me?
By government estimates, there are some 200,000 of the redesigned guardrail end terminals on highways across the country, found in almost every state.
This failed. This is a classic failure.
But Trinity never told the Federal Highway Administration about the changes until this man came along, Josh Harmon, the owner of a small, competing guardrail company, who became entangled in a patent lawsuit with Trinity and had access to internal documents.
You looked at the highway specs submitted to the federal government?
Yes, sir.
Were they in there?
No, sir. No, none of this was disclosed. Absolutely none of this.
Trinity officials call Harmon a liar and an opportunist, out to make a buck by bringing yet another lawsuit against the company. But he says he's out to prove a rash of accidents are tied to the guardrail changes kept secret from the government.
They call you a sleazy operator.
No, I'm sure they do. If I'm crazy, it's irrelevant. It's killing people. That's the most important thing here. What I am has no bearing whatsoever. The fact that I found it, let's address that.
The company says the changes Harmon is talking about were inadvertently omitted when it submitted documents to the Federal Highway Administration. But an internal company email obtained by ABC News shows Trinity engineers actually discussed keeping the change secret. Quote, "I'm feeling that we could make this change with no announcement," unquote.
So even that 1 inch change should have been reported to the Federal Highway Administration?
Absolutely. You have to ask your question, why would you change it? What's the motivation for changing the 1 inch?
Harmon says it's all about the bottom line, trying to increase profits at Trinity, something the company denies. But according to the same internal Trinity email, the engineers calculated that shaving off an inch would save about $2 for each end terminal. That's $50,000 a year and $250,000 in 5 years by using the 4-inch channel, the memo reads.
That's one of the motivations. The other motivation is reusability. And these changes, no question, ruin the terminal where it's not reusable. And that means millions to them.
If you have an accident, the highway department has to buy a new one.
You have to buy a new one.
And Harmon scored a huge victory late last year when a federal jury in Texas found in his favor, agreeing that Trinity defrauded the U.S. government when it failed to disclose those modifications.
Mr. Mitchell, Brian Ross from ABC News.
The company was ordered to pay $175 million, an amount that could be tripled. The company president, Greg Mitchell, left the courthouse refusing to comment.
Nothing at all?
But Trinity says it will appeal the verdict. In the wake of the verdict, the number of states which suspended the use of the Trinity guardrail system rose to 42. And questions were raised in Congress about whether the Federal Highway Administration had been too lenient with Trinity.
But I'd like a commitment from you, Mr. Secretary, that you will work with us on eliminating the all too cozy relationship, frankly, that exists right now between the Federal Highway Administration and this manufacturer.
Despite the gruesome accidents, the government had ruled the guardrail system met all federal safety standards.
Mr. Artemovich, Brian Ross from ABC News.
This is the official who made that decision, Nick Artemovich, who had declined to talk with us until we showed up at an industry conference last year.
Why did you make that decision?
Based on the evidence that was presented to us.
And you think they're safe now on the highways?
As I said, please talk to Office of Public Affairs.
You can't answer that question?
No, sir.
Whether they're safe?
Safety is a relative matter.
Artemovich is the same official who once expressed concern that it is hard to ignore the fatal results. But after Trinity officials asked for what they called an intimate meeting with him, Artemovich decided there was no problem with the new guardrail terminals.
We did meet with Trinity.
Right. And you feel they're safe?
They have met the crash testing as required.
And what about the fatal accidents that you've been talking about?
I'd really ask you to...
Can you explain those?
Public Affairs.
All the attention and the verdict in Texas led the Federal Highway Administration to order a new set of safety crash tests for the guardrail heads. Just this week, the government said the Trinity system passed all 8 of its tests, even though the 8th and final test appeared to show much more damage to the vehicle than any of the others.
There is no way this device can be considered to have passed.
Senator Richard Blumenthal says he believes the testing itself was flawed.
The fact of the matter is that the testing of this device, authorized by the Federal Highway Administration, has been a sham.
Trinity says the results vindicate its position that the guardrail system has been and continues to be safe on American roads. But federal officials say, even with the new test results, they will continue to investigate what has happened in real-world situations, like what happened to Rebecca Dreyer, still dealing with the loss of her leg from a guardrail accident.
They know what's wrong with them. Change the heads back to the ones that were safe, that weren't failing, that weren't having these problems. Because how many more people do you want to lose limbs and go through all of this?